Okay, welcome back everybody for another commentary video. This video is for a major PB. You will see that the splits are set up running against 3552. At the time I was actually running against the 3543. So anyway, let's get going. And we'll see what we see. Now, you'll occasionally hear me chime in with time updates and gold splits from when I was playing. I recorded this locally on my PlayStation, and so sometimes I would turn the microphone on the control so I could give updates like gold splits and stuff. The splits that I have here on Live Split, I added the timer from my computer. So the only splits that I have on there are from runs that I've retimed, or well, you know, timed, because I use my phone while I'm playing on the PlayStation. So my phone has what my real gold splits are, so I'll occasionally give updates so that we're not bamboozled by fake gold splits. Another interesting thing, this is not a thing you'd be able to see, but instead of running against my PB splits, and instead of running against my sum of best splits, I was running against my best times out of each stage. So not like my best segments, but the earliest time that I'd actually taken a run out of each stage. So like, out of Gemini Man, I think my best time was like 6:22 or 6:18, right? But that's not because necessarily that's what my gold split for top plus my gold split for Shadow Man plus my gold split for Gemini Man was, right? That's just the earliest I'd ever gotten out of Gemini before. So for example, you know, I was running against like a 154.5 in top man. Actually, I should probably get my my splits up on my phone. So 155 out of Top Man is something I'm pretty happy about. I should probably silence my phone. It was a low to mid 155. It was 155.37 on my phone, at least. I was very pleased to see that my phone times and the retime on the computer were very close to each other, so every time that I shouted out times, or like I was looking at something, they pretty much lined up. So you can see that I've been putting in some work on Proto Man to get the Proto Man fight not be a disaster. I've also put in a little bit of work on the dark screen, get a couple more slides in, not have to shoot that grenade with a separate shot. And I mean, a high 257 coming out of the dark screen is it's good for me. Coming up on the parachute section, I don't switch to top because I don't know how to wiggle. So I feel like that's using the Buster on auto fire is probably not as fast as doing tops through there, but it's got to be close, because I saved a lot of time over using top but doing it very slowly and safely. I saved a bunch of time when I switched to the auto fire Buster and practiced it a little bit. So this split coming out of Shadow Man
split.
That was a legit gold split. It really, really was. I've had a lot of Shadow Man gold splits recently. That Shadow Man segment was 150.36. And it was fantastic. Another thing to note, so I say a lot in these commentary videos, like, oh, I don't, you know, here's my goal. I don't think I can get below that without a... Okay, so that's one bonk. I don't think I can get below that without putting in more work than I really want to, right? Since the 3552, I have cut like 28 seconds or more. It might be more. It might be a lot more than that, actually. I've cut a lot of time off my Sum of Best. I have just, like, gold split the entire gosh dang game. Okay, pretty good bubble section. I do the bubbles like this because it's really easy to not mess it up. And because I don't feel like it loses a lot of time. However, I have been watching a lot of Mega Man races that are done on NES, right? This is Legacy Collections, there's no lag, and I've got auto fire. And a lot of, like, the top runners, I'll be ahead of them or even with them. Like, I'm very familiar with getting the times that they're getting transitioning through the Proto Man skip. Like, those are times that I get, right? But then, by the time they get to Gemini Man, they're like 6 seconds ahead of me. So, I don't think, like, the 3 or 4 blocks that I don't slide on there, since not all of them slide on every single block, I don't think that accounts for it. I think really just like the rush zip and then doing faster bubbles, it really makes that much of a difference. So that is a different Gemini Man fight than I was doing previously. I don't know how much time I save on that, but I definitely save time on it, for the very least, because I didn't mess it up. That was another legitimate gold split
on Gemini Man.
That was 229.07.
14.81 coming out.
We could have gotten that one hit earlier with the way that I did that fight, but I did blast one Shadow Blade over in the left corner into his iframes. But I'm very happy with the development of that fight, working on that recently. I was waiting for somebody to show up and buy a TV for an hour and a half. And since I thought he was only going to be a couple minutes, I just, you know, practiced some Gemini Man, and ended up practicing Gemini Man for an hour and a half. I wish I knew how to not get hit by that dragonfly, because that was a really good first 2 screens. And I would love to just not feel like I'm messing it up by getting hit by that dragonfly. If I could figure out the movement to get off of that first ladder in that room and slide under the bola so I can shoot the other Iron Joe, I would do that. I have so much trouble with that ladder that I just said, screw it. We're going to damage boost off that Iron Joe. Because I can't get the coordination down of sliding and shooting and getting off the ladder all in one go. It just hasn't worked for me. Pretty happy with that Needleman fight. It could have been a little faster, but that's a fake gold split. We were 3/4 of a second off my actual gold, but we did still save time on that split. We're coming out of Needleman at 8:01. That's so much faster than the splits I would have been running against if I'd looked at them. It's only a little bit faster than the fastest I'd ever come out of Needleman before. I did not complete any runs, at least not well, that did this, but I had several runs that got through like 7 or all 8 of the Robot Masters that were very, very, very fast. You know, my PB splits, I think I was 1657, 8 Robot Masters, and I had a 1644, I had a 1640.1, 8 Robot Masters. So, you know, my potential for the 8 Robot Masters has gotten a lot better. And that was a couple seconds faster than I'd ever come out of Needleman, even in one of those. And so at that point that I worked on trying to get some extra slides on that screen, and it's really predicated on jumping into the screen the right way. And I thought I just barely had it, but I didn't, and I ended up sliding into both of those instead of taking extra steps. And that was a shame, because, you know, this stage has been going pretty well. Once we got out of Snake Man, I started getting really nervous. Because what I really wanted for this run, before I move, which I'm about 3 days from moving, completely. Man, that would have been such a good fight. That's such a better fight than I was having a month ago. Such a better fight than I ever did on the NES for Snake Man. I'm so happy with that fight. This is a fake gold split, by the way. I really, before I moved, wanted to have a run where I could point at it and say, I fulfilled my potential here. This is as good as I could do. I realized it. Here you go, world. This is how good I am. Or not good I am. You know. I'm going to give an analysis at the end that's going to be kind of a little both of that sentiment. I really feel like this run came super close to satisfying that. And so, you know, at this point in the run, I'm in my 6th Robot Master stage, and I'm sitting here going, we might be able to get a 1630-something 8 Robot Masters. And, you know, Legacy Collection times don't translate directly to NES times, right? I've got auto fire. It's a really fast auto fire, in my opinion. I've got no lag. That's gotta... I don't know how much time to account for with that, but it's gotta be substantial. But like a 1630 something Robot Masters, sub 1640, like that's super elite level at an NES level, right? It just is. If you watch the Mega Man 3 tournament, like, you're only seeing the top guys get Robot Master kills that fast. I'm quite pleased with that Magnet Man fight. I'm quite pleased with that whole stage, pretty much. That was a great stage. That's a real gold split. 158.22 for that segment.
On Magnet Man.
I was focusing so hard to not mess up that stage select. Because when I got the 1640.1, I think it was 0.13 for my 8 robots, I lost like half a second just because I like input my left direction button too early on Hardman. I lost like half a second on stage select. So I was focused so hard on that. And then I messed up all kinds of stuff on that screen. I messed this up. It was a rough beginning of Hardman. And I was really worried that that was the beginning of the end for this run. You know, I messed up like 2 or 3 different jumps on that first screen. I menued too early. I've had issues with that screen missing a slide several times recently. So messing up that first screen and then missing up Rush on the second screen, I got really nervous. But then we killed that dozer with the fall shots, which is excellent. We did not jump into those dozers with our face, so that's always nice. If I were to try to absolutely maximize what I'm able to do in this game, I would probably try to learn Rush Coil strats for that. And then I bet you anything, the Shadow Blade fight for Proto Man with auto fire has to be an enormous time save if I could learn it. Okay, maybe not an enormous time save. We missed that airborne magnet. I wasn't really sure. I felt like I was left of center, and so I decided to try to get a quick slide in, but keep it real short, see if I could center myself. I think it was a wash, honestly. We did not gold split. I think we lost like 3.5 seconds in that stage. And then I forgot to split when I was retiming it. So that was a mistake. Our exit time from Hardman was 14:41.39 on the phone. So I knew my run was doing so hot. And I also knew that somewhere in the dock stages, the splits I was running against, my best splits out of each stage, or my best time out of each stage, not like segment time, but run time, I knew that was going to switch over from a really, really hot run that I had where I had the super low 8 robots. I knew that was going to switch over somewhere in the dock stages to my PB splits. And so I knew I was going to save a bunch of time when that happened. Because my PB had a bunch of time loss in Dock Shadow. And it had 7.5 seconds of time loss against Wily at the very end of the game. Because of ridiculousness. I was very nervous about dying on this screen and the other elevator block screen, because just recently I just started dying there for no reason on both of them. But listen to that. No forbidden notes. That's a new development for me. We did miss a Shadow Blade. And then we got caught in this weird spot where I was like, I don't know if I want to just stand on top of him and throw Shadow Blades up, or if I want to move. So I decided to move just to be safe. But we ended up getting kind of caught there. We ended up getting 1640.50. So if I had not missed a Shadow Blade to start the fight...
1640.5 coming out of 8 robots.
See, listen to that. If I had not missed that Shadow Blade, if I had handled that fight just slightly better, we probably still could have gotten sub 1640 for 8 robots, even with all that time loss in Hardman. So I think I opened like that first slide once after the jump. So the slide on that platform. That's not how I practice this screen. I practice this screen a lot, and after all that practice, I decided I'm going to start trying to work in a slide there. And it left me, when I jumped over that flame, I was like, I'm not sure if I've got space to land on the edge of this or not. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to jump over this. And so I just said, I'm going to take it safe, because we've got so much, And by take it safe, I felt like it was a gamble either way. I've had a lot of trouble with this bubble section here, because Needles with auto fire is so fast, and my single fire button is not reliable, so I don't use that. So I was very happy, even though that looked a little like stuttery with my movement. I was very happy with that bubble section. When I look at this run and I think of what things could I cut, what strategies could I change to take this to the next level, I do not look at that fight or at this. I don't think bothering with the D-boosts and because there's a lot of jumping for taking the D-boosts and doing the sliding on the spikes. I don't think it's worth the time loss, especially if you get drops, compared to just doing the jet. There's no lag, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't think the Flashman fight, and I don't think those spike slides are things that I would worry about trying to take this run to the next level. The Bubble Man fight for sure needs some practice. It's not a hard fight to survive, but I've had a lot of very sloppy Bubble Man fights recently. That could use some work. But we came out of Doc Gemini 1923. We were within a second of my gold split. I'm pretty sure we saved a bit of time on that split. I love not having to do the music despawn there for Legacy Collection. I really do. I don't like setting it up, and I like the music too. So this is a thing that I'm still in the middle of. I would like to hop over that eye. I have not figured out how to do it yet. I think I need to really just be on the exact corner of that, but runners never seem to ever have an issue there. Like the good runners. So I don't think it can be like it has to be the very exact corner. So it's probably a movement issue, similar to my problems jumping over Snake Man. But I haven't figured it out yet for me. I may... There's a version of this fight where instead of standing there and getting hit by the leaf shield, you jump over the leaf shield, but then you turn around into one of the falling leaves and take a damage boost off of that. And you get the same number of hits on Woodman, but you take one less hit. And I think the falling leaves might do less damage, I'm not sure. And since health has been a little bit of a consideration for Heatman, because sometimes I have very bad Heatman fights out of nowhere, and also because you really do... I felt when I got through this that I got every drop imaginable. You really do want to have full health if you can swing it for the parachute screen, just so that health drops can't stop you. I did get the... Man, this is a rough fight. I did get the Fire Slide, but on Legacy Collection, I've been having... Like, I have not successfully jumped out of a Fire Slide once to hit him. So I don't do that the third slide when you get the Fire Slide. I just jump at him. So that was... I don't know if I'd call it a rough Doc Shadow. We were, like, 2 3/4 seconds off of our gold split. I was being really aggressive with these hedgehogs here, and just unforced error and died. I've had a lot of success with aggressively firing and sliding at the hedgehogs in Needleman, and so I was like, I'm going to try that out here for the first time ever. Messed up that last one, jumped too far onto the platform, slid, did not... there was definitely plenty of space to slide, but did not successfully jump off of it, and died. When I timed that death, it came out to about 12 seconds. That was an accident. I meant to menu while I was sliding to despawn Rush, because it doesn't actually open the menu, but it does despawn Rush. So we're not having a spectacular Needleman stage. But I've had worse Needleman stages. I had a run recently. It may have been my 25 or 35-45. It may have been my 35-43, where I actually died near the end of the rush section here. Actually, I think that was the 35-43. I died twice in that run, and I still PB'd by like a second and a half. It made me so sad. So I was prepared to E-tank if I had to here, because I knew there was time save. I wasn't super concerned about that death, because it was a quick death. You know, it's right on the first screen. But then after I got through that section, I said, we're just gonna freaking YOLO it. And hope that we can pick up some health somewhere through here. Don't jump into one of the big Mets. But if we die, we die. You know, Rocky IV style. But I'm pretty pleased with just about everything. I think my Airman fight went fine. I'm not an elite runner, so I'm not trying to have an elite airman. I am happy that I more or less fixed this fight, although it doesn't really show here because I had to do that. I'm so glad that I got lucky and that hit, because that was all luck. That last knuckle hitting was luck. Our segment for Doc Needle was 252.33. That is 11 seconds over our gold split. So, without that death, if you spot me 12 seconds for that death, that's actually a 1 second gold split. Like a whole second. Which, you know, getting a gold split by more than a second is pretty rare. For me at least. Big refill that I don't care about. I use autofire for those lasers. Because it's, you know, tragic if your laser fails to fire and you die. And since my single fire button is unreliable, that's what I do. I don't do laser quick man fight. I'm not going to risk it. I've practiced the Snake Man one so much. I've never practiced the laser one. I don't want to. I thought this was a really weird Metal Man pattern in the moment. I thought he jumped early. I had one recently where he was giving me a lot of single blades, and then he jumped really early on like a 2 or a 3 blade pattern. And I was like, what the heck? You don't, that's not how you work. But maybe I was misremembering it, or I just missed it because I'm talking. Got the swag jump. I can't take it backwards Z-boost to save my life. I don't normally jump into the enemy in midair. I don't know what those are called. Generally, I hit the electricity generator, but I really didn't want to have to E-tank this fight. I will if I have to, but I really didn't want to. So I just wanted to take maximum health into it. I've been practicing this fight a bit, and I think it shows, because I was prepared for everything there. I was prepared for how much damage I was taking. It went great. That's a real gold split. 209.39 on that split.
Doc Spark.
It wasn't the fastest pattern I've ever had in my life, but I have had like 3 or 4 gold splits on the Doc Spark segment recently, and it's all because the Quickman fights have been going really well. I could not explain, like, oh, if Quickman does this, you need to do this. But I feel like I've kind of internalized what I need to do. I've also been practicing Breakman, because I think in all of my recent PBs, Breakman has been, like a mistake. Some hidden time loss, because you don't really look at Breakman and be like, oh, yeah, you know, you look at Wily 1, and you go, okay, what happened in Wily 1? But you don't look at Breakman and go, oh, I lost 2.5 seconds because I let him jump all over me. I did work on these fish so that I could get the backwards slides. And what I learned is I don't have the first clue how to spawn those fish at certain heights. So I abandoned that. I don't think I would include that in strats to take this to the next level, because I just don't feel like it's that much of a time save for me. I was really happy with not making that any worse. I don't know if I needed to pause for the second Iron Joe to throw, but that was I've never tinked a magnet off that Iron Joe and then slid past him before. So I had the wherewithal to summon. This is a really good turtle so far. It ended up not being like an excellent turtles, but I was fine with just, you know, pretty good. I had a PB run not long ago that was 5 left.
Gold split Wily 1.
That is a gold split for Wily 1. That was 217.04 for that segment plus Breakman and the cutscene. So at this point, I know, like, we're doing really well. There's still some places where I'm worried that I'm gonna flush it down the toilet, right? Because my goal was sub 35-30. That was my goal before I move. I was really worried about taking a stupid death right there. I was worried about menuing early and missing that ledge and dying on some spikes, having to do the whole screen over. I wasn't too concerned about Easy Devil. I was just concerned about getting set up for it. But with auto fire, like if you can't do Easy Devil with auto fire, like I can't help you. Especially a super fast auto fire. I actually feel like the auto fire is too fast. I wish it was a little slower. I think there might have been a settings for that, but I haven't messed around with it. So here we come into Wily 3. I knew that in my PB, which at this point all the splits that I was running against were essentially my PB splits, right? I knew in my PB I had messed up the first couple of screens. I don't remember if it was I was messing around with the menu on accident or if I jumped into a bullet. I don't recall. I just remember that I messed up the first couple of screens. And so I knew there was time to save here. I also missed that ladder in my PB. So I knew I was ahead. I knew I was in PB territory. And I knew unless I really, really messed up, this was going to be a PB. I didn't know how much it was going to iron out to in the end. I felt like a 35-30 was pretty secure because I knew there was 7.5 seconds in the very last stage, right? I knew there was 7.5 seconds of slack where I could mess up the menus as bad as I ever could, as long as I didn't mess up the actual coil into Wily at the end. I knew that I had time save in that last stage. But I was really concerned about like having a really bad boss refights. I also didn't know the extent of how good this run was going to end up. And so I really wanted to maximize that. I did dedicate some practice just to the refights recently. I wasn't very thrilled about that Snake Man fight, to be honest. It's not a disaster, but I wasn't super thrilled about it. I also was not very thrilled about that. That is not what I was trying to do. I did think about staying on Shadow Blade and doing the refights backwards. That is a thing I've done. While I was practicing refights, I did have that happen several times. I never looked up how to go about doing the quick kill, so I don't know what to do in that situation. I just kind of hit buttons on my D-pad and hope that something happened, and it didn't. I made sure to grab that health because that's how I died in my PB. Was as soon as I stepped on the teleporter, I said I needed to grab that health, and then I died. Because Circle betrayed me in this fight, just like it did right there. That was Circle not shooting a laser. And then it got me out of cycle with what was going on. Nice fall there. But anyway, with the Shadow Blade, I just decided I don't know how much health I need doing this backwards. You know, I know what my health is relative to what I need going forwards. So let's just be safe. Let's keep doing what we know. Instead of being ballsy and really going for it. Because we've already had a death. So we're not maximizing our potential. Let's not mess it up by risking another death. I did risk it here, though. I was very worried that I was not going to kill him before my iframes ran out. But we did. We did. So, right now we're sitting at 6 gold splits for this run. I did not get a split for the Wily machine here. I messed it up. I don't remember if I just forgot to split or if I might have split early. I probably split early and then just went up and cleared it. But there, there wasn't any major errors or anything to talk about with that fight. So here we go, going into Wily 6. I was really feeling the nerves here. I could really feel it. I was really worried about going into the menu and changing pages on accident. And in my PB, what happened was I maneuvered myself like I was going to use topspin when I jumped off the coil. But I switched to Snake, because that's what I do. And so I jumped right into Wily. So there we go. We ended up with 35-10. I did do some recap at the end of the video. That's why I'm pausing it. We ended up with 35-10.67 on the retime. My phone timer was 0.98. And I feel like that was, despite having a death in Needleman, I feel like that was a fantastic run, especially for me. But there are... I feel so satisfied with it. If this is as good as I ever do, I can be happy. However, that death in Needleman, without changing anything else, without changing running out of ammo against Shadow Man, falling, trying to get up into Needleman in the refights, the mishap with the laser in Gemini refight, without any of the other mistakes, without the 3.5 seconds of time loss in Hardman, not counting any of that, just that silly 12-second death in Needleman, completely unforced. If you spot me that to this run, that makes it a 34-58. This run is like a minute and 20 seconds improvement on the run I submitted to the leaderboards. But it does not move me up any spots because this is not a very competitive category. Legacy Collection Mega Man 3 is not a competitive category. There's only like 30-something entries on the leaderboard, right? If you spot me those 12 seconds, it moves me from 6th to 4th. There's somebody at like 35.05 and there's somebody at 35 flat. If you spot me those 12 seconds, that takes me to 34.58, which puts me in 34 land. And it puts me in top 5 in the world in this category. Technically, it makes me top 5 in the world. Practically speaking, I think only one or two of the people, like one or two of the actual top Mega Man 3 runners, even have a time on Legacy Collection. They could just pick it up and get one in a day, right? They could probably do it first or second try. And one of them, I watched Darko's run, and I don't think he did anything different for his run on Legacy Collection. I don't even know if he used auto fire. So I really do wonder what the world record would be on the Legacy Collection if, like, Fasta or Fatso, Colonel Fatso, or Prissy, if any of them ran it, I really wonder what the world record would be. Because then mashing isn't an issue if your thumb gets tired. Lag isn't an issue. I really wonder how much lag affects your time for the game overall. I also, because none of the top runners are running this category, there aren't really any, to my knowledge, there aren't really any strat changes where you stop doing things that are solely for lag reduction, right? There are some enemies that you kill in the classic Mega Man 3 route that you just kill to reduce lag. You just do XYZ to reduce lag. And whatever. So I wonder if that would change the routing at all, since it's not a consideration. But if I'm top 5 on the leaderboard, I'm going to claim world class. I'm just going to claim world class. Even though I really feel like, to be fair, I do kind of feel like I'm upper mid tier if you discount the fact that I use auto fire. I do feel like I'm like upper mid tier runner. Like, if you discount the auto fire, I was just watching Summoning Salt's video on the Mega Man 2 world record, the history of the Mega Man 2 world record, and apparently, like, in that game, the auto fire that was allowed in like some of the Japanese communities, it only affected the game by like 20 seconds or something. I have, Mega Man 3 is a longer game, and it's also more mashing intensive. But, if you told me that auto fire adds 40 seconds to my time, okay. I'd take that in a heartbeat. That's still sub 36. That's a good time. Plus whatever lag difference there is. But, like, lag's not going to be a minute of the game. I don't think. I think lag's going to be, like, 20 seconds. So, anyway, I'm glad you guys watched. Listen to me ramble on. I am hopeful that before I have to move on to other things, I will be able to capture that one last run that gets me across the threshold into a 34, because I didn't think that was even going to be possible. I didn't think I was good enough. I definitely didn't think I was going to put in enough work for it. But here we are. We're 10.5 seconds off with a 12-second death. Plus all that time loss at the beginning of Hardman. The beginning of Hardman was a disaster. Plus some difficulties in the refights. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there was another 20-25 seconds I could squeeze out of that without having to change any of my strats. Without having to change my Gemini Man fight. Without having to have a better Bubble Man fight. Without having to change my strategies in Gemini stage for the bubbles. Where I think I could save about 6 seconds. So 35-45 would be legit. That'd be super legit. So, anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, I will be back with more soon.